It was the year 2007. I was in 8 months of prayer retreat in the church. Then I received the visitation of 3 angels of the Lord. One of them was the Archangel Michael, who was supposed to talk to me about spiritual warfare. During Michael's visitation, he led me to the second heaven to attend a meeting in the firmament organized by Lucifer, and in this meeting, Lucifer enumerated 80 strategies against Christians and humanity. Today, we will talk about the strategies of the devil against Christian houses. We will talk about the way the devil is targeting believers' houses in order to bewitch them. As the scriptures say, the devil said, "We will enter born-again Christians' houses through art objects and statues. I want you, my servant, to build a statue and art object that will be sold in the market. After building these statues, I want a cultic master and teacher to project their spirit inside these statues, and when people will buy these statues, they will take you inside their homes. You will bring us information about them, and you will influence them since you are part of their lives." The devil said, "I want these sculptures to be the image of mystical masters. It must be designed as a copy of a mystical master. Afterward, these masters must project their spirits inside these sculptures. I want you to influence them through posters and photos. Beloved, if you have a picture or a poster of a celebrity and musician, this is dangerous because you have a foreigner in your house through the statue and poster." I was still in the firmament attending Lucifer's gathering, accompanied by the Archangel Michael. As we were in that meeting, observing what was happening, then I saw Lucifer ordering millions of demons to go to a specific country of the earth. And as these demons were leaving the auditorium, the Archangel Michael said to me, "Let us follow them and let us see what would happen." We then started to follow these contingents made up of millions of demons. We were right behind millions of demons traveling to Earth. They were heading precisely in the country of South Korea. After some time, these demons landed, and I and Archangel Michael also landed. I realized that we landed in a huge art and culture exhibition hall, and inside there were a lot of art objects and statues, and a lot of portraits. Also, there were a lot of paintings and dolls. Each of these millions of demons was ordered by Lucifer to enter into these art objects, whether it was a statue, a portrait, a doll, a painting. Despite the fact that there were millions of art objects here, some of the demons ended up lacking objects to enter and dwell in. Whatever the dimension and size of the object of art, or whether it was bigger or small, demons had the capacity to shrink and to get inside of them. Demons can increase or decrease their shape or size. Then, after this experience, a few days later, the chief angel of the Lord, Michael, appeared to me again, and he said to me, "I have received an order from the Lord himself to come and transport you to one of the houses that bought these art objects that is indwelled by one of these demons." It was 11:57 p.m. when we took a speedy flight in the atmosphere, and we landed in a house. It was night, and everybody in the house was already sleeping in their bedrooms, so there was nobody in the living room where we landed. Then, the archangel told me to stand close to the wall and to observe what will happen. Then I stood by the wall of the living room of this house, and I was observing the living room to see what will happen. I was curious to see what would happen. Then, the Archangel Michael disappeared, and I was left alone there, and as I stood in this living room, I noticed the presence of an artistic statue. I managed to recognize that statue. I remember that I saw that art statue in South Korea, and when it was precisely midnight, something happened. I noticed that the statue was vibrating and shaking, and after that, I saw in the middle of the head of the statue like an opening. I saw something like a shadow coming out of the opening on the head of the statue. The shadow came out of the statue through the opening, and it then took a humanoid shape, and it stood right in the middle of the living room. It was one of the millions of demons that indwell statues, paintings, and dolls. The demon could not see me, but I was observing this demon standing in the middle of the living room. The humanoid demon was looking in every direction here and there, like a thief who wants to steal something. In fact, everybody in the house was already sleeping. Then I saw the demon blowing air out of his mouth. I mean smoke, and he blew smoke out of his mouth that filled the house. It went into the corridor, and in that corridor there were many bedrooms, and the bluish smoke was entering in each of the bedroom doors where people were sleeping. This bluish smoke was hypnotizing the whole family sleeping in the house. People sleeping in this house were unaware of the mystical and impossible paranormal phenomena happening in their house. There were terrifying phenomena happening in this house while the occupants were sleeping. After the whole family was hypnotized by the bluish smoke, this demon makes sure that everybody in the house was hypnotized. Then I watched the demon leaving the living room and heading to the corridor, and he went precisely to the toilet. After he entered the toilet, he began to do incantation. After doing incantation and conjuring, the water in the toilet seat began to boil, and after some time, a shape in the smoke emerged out of the toilet seat. The smoke then took a shape of a humanoid demon. When I looked closely, I noticed that the demon had a female shape. Then the demon who came out of the statue greeted the female demon by saying, "Good morning, Madame Jacqueline." As I was observing this scene unfolding before me, I was puzzled. In every toilet of every house in this world, there is the demon called Madame Jacqueline, the lady of the toilet. The demon then began to talk to Jacqueline. He said to her, "You are part of this family, and you know everything about this family. Please do tell me who in this family wants to emerge and to break through in his or her life." The demon Jacqueline replied, "It's Sylvia. I understood that in this house there was a woman called Sylvia, and she was sleeping and hypnotized by the bluish smoke and unaware of the demonic entities in her very house against her. There were terrifying phenomena happening in this house while the occupants were asleep. Things do happen when humans sleep. Then I saw the demon that came out of the statue entering inside a vase of water, as there was a problem with water in this house. So people were using this vase of water to wash, and the demon got inside. By entering in that water, the demon's objective was to bewitch and indwell the woman Sylvia, who was supposed to break through in her life. Then the archangel Michael, who left me in this house alone, reappeared, and he said to me, "When you go back in your body, tell the church that what you have witnessed is called the satanic baptism of water. As the woman, Sylvia, was supposed to wash in that water, she will be clothed with this demon like a garment. These demons in statues, paintings, and dolls receive orders from Lucifer to enter in the water because Christians pray before eating and before sleeping. But as they do not pray before washing, water can be used as a tool through which they will be bewitched and baptized in water with a demon. So, this demon was in the water waiting for Sylvia to come and bath so that he can get in her body and constitute her clothing and garment. When you are clothed with this demon, he becomes an informer transferring information about your life to the kingdom of darkness, and he will also indwell in you to demonize you and to try to control you. After entering the body of Sylvia, I saw this demon doing incantation, and he was conjuring other demons in Korea. When a demon gets in a person, he will call other demons to join him in that body. What happened was that another demon came from Korea, and he enters the statue, and he waited for midnight, and he came out of the statue in the midnight, and then he blew the bluish smoke out of his mouth, which hypnotized the whole house again. Then he went to do incantation in the toilet. As a result, Madame Jacqueline emerges again out of the toilet seat, and she gave the name of the second person who was supposed to have a breakthrough in his life in that house. Then, the demon that came out of the statue enters into the water again, waiting for the target in order to enter his body through demonic water baptism. Once he entered into the body of the victim, this demon would call another demon again, and the same process will happen until everybody in the house is possessed and baptized in water. As a result, everybody's life and progress will get compromised. As I was observing this scene, I was puzzled. In fact, in every toilet of every house, there is a demon called Jacqueline, the lady of the toilet. She is the hidden family member whose purpose is to collect information about the family. When a witch comes to your house, he or she will rush to the toilet to summon her for information about you. A few days later, the angel of the Lord visited me again, and he transported me to another house. It was evening when we landed in an apartment. It was like a studio. Then I heard someone speaking, and the voice of the person speaking seems familiar to me. And when I checked, I realized that it was a man of God that I knew. This man was a prophet, and the angel told me to enter the apartment, and after we entered, I saw a bed on the pavement in the middle of this studio. At the corner of this studio was the toilet. Then, all of a sudden, I saw a female demon coming out of the toilet. I recognized her as I saw her in the previous house. It was Madame Jacqueline, the lady of the toilet, who is in every house on earth. She entered the bedroom of this prophet, and she lifted his bed and did an incantation, and she turned the bed into cotton and placed it inside the ceiling of the apartment. Then the demon laid herself where the bed was, and she turned to cotton and sponge, just like a normal bed. Then the angel of the Lord said to me, "When the prophet sleeps on his bed, he thinks that he is sleeping on a normal bed, but he is actually sleeping on a woman, a female demon." The angel said, When you return to your body, go tell this prophet that he is sleeping over a woman. Actually, this prophet came to see me not long ago, and he told me that he was being attacked by a spiritual wife. This prophet said to me, "Even when I am fasting and praying in a retreat of prayer, I still get attacked by the spiritual wife, and sometimes I get discouraged and I lose motivation. As a result, I abandon prayer and cut short my prayer and fasting." When this prophet told me his situation, that day we prayed together, but we saw nothing. But thank God, because this angelic visitation revealed the identity of the demon attacking the prophet, who is Madame Jacqueline. Before the end of that vision, the angel of the Lord explained to me how to expel the demon of the toilet, Jacqueline. He told me to pray for olive oil and to drop a drop of it into the toilet while praying, and she will leave. The angel of wine and alcoholism and the corruption of God's servants. By God's grace, we shall discover what happens when we drink alcohol, wine, whiskey, and all the strong liquors. This experience happened to me on a Saturday, the 11th of January 2014. On that day, I did experience death, and I was transported to the afterlife for 10 hours. After visiting the abode of the dead and paradise, I found myself before the throne of the Lord Jesus Christ. What surprised me is how the Lord shifted the dialogue. We were having discussions about the end times and the last judgment to the demon of beer and alcoholism. Firstly, the Lord Jesus was on his throne, and he began to talk to me about the mystery concerning the eternal kingdom of heaven and the mystery of the 4 living creatures. Then the Lord Jesus Christ turned to a huge eagle, and he took me on his wings, and we started to fly. We landed in a place where he was explaining to me about the end times. He showed me the court where the last judgment will take place. After that, we continued to fly, and we ended up in a forest on Earth. As we were flying over this forest, we were hovering in space. Then I saw a lion moving. The Lord Jesus then asked me, "What do you see, O man?" I replied, "Lord, I can see a lion." Then the Lord said to me, "A lion is an image of royalty. It is an image of the law and the power that I gave to Adam, the man that I placed in the forest and the Garden of Eden to cultivate it. But the man allowed himself to be dominated by the power and influence of the things he was supposed to dominate in that garden and forest." The Lord Jesus said, "The spirit of the forest has concluded pacts and covenants with many pastors and many missionaries behind their backs without their realization. They entered an unconscious covenant with that spirit." The Lord Jesus said, "It was not long after the years of revival in 1863 that my servants, the pastors and missionaries, began to enter into covenants with the spirit of the forest and vegetation subconsciously." The Lord Jesus Christ told me that the spirit who is responsible for the downfall of the revival churches since 1863 is Dionysus, the angel of wine and alcoholism. His mission was to push pastors, evangelists, and missionaries into drunkenness. But they did not know that by being attached to wine, they were taken over and animated by the spirit and complex of grandeur and greatness. They began to desire material things of prestige like great buildings, great clothes, vices, etc. The Lord Jesus said that by being attached to wine, they were even solicited in occultism. They were manipulated but were ignorant about the spiritual implication of wine and alcohol. The Lord Jesus said, "As it is written in my word, who has woe, who has sorrow, who has contentions, who has complaining, who has wounds without cause, who has redness of eyes, those who linger long over wine, those who go to taste mixed wine. Do not look on the wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. At last it bites like a serpent and stings like a viper. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, and thine heart shall utter perverse things." The Lord Jesus asked me, "What is it that stings people inside wine?" Then the Lord himself answered that question. He said, "There is a demon in wine, and his purpose is to sting those who are consuming it. He is the fallen angel Dionysus." Firstly, the Lord Jesus was on his throne, and he began to talk to me about the mystery concerning the eternal kingdom of heaven and the mystery of the 4 living creatures. Then, the Lord Jesus Christ turned to a huge eagle, and he took me on his wings, and we started to fly. We landed in a place where he was explaining to me about the end times. He showed me the court where the last judgment will take place. After that, we continued to fly, and we ended up in a forest on Earth. As we were flying over this forest, we were hovering in space. Then I saw a lion moving. The Lord Jesus then asked me, "What do you see, O man?" I replied, "Lord, I can see a lion." Then the Lord said to me, "A lion is an image of royalty. It is an image of the law and the power that I gave to Adam, the man that I placed in the forest in the Garden of Eden to cultivate it. But the man allowed himself to be dominated by the power and influence of the things he was supposed to dominate in that garden and forest. The Lord Jesus said, "The spirit of the forest has concluded pacts and covenants with many pastors and many missionaries behind their backs without their realization. They entered an unconscious covenant with that spirit. Beloved, you can see pictures of this demon on some wine and whiskey bottles holding an arrow in his hands. The arrow held by Dionysus is his controlling and manipulating power on the lives of consumers of wine, whiskey, alcohol, and strong liquors. The Lord Jesus told me that Dionysus watches over the lives of alcohol consumers. He monitors details of their lives. In fact, he monitors their blood, their sperm, their breast milk in case of women, and he collaborates with the demon of urine called Lucifer. This is the demon of witchcraft, who casts a spell on people. This demon assists Dionysus in getting people to be on alcohol dependency through a spell he cast on them. The Lord Jesus said to me that Dionysus monitors and uses the sperm in order to cause the consumer of wine and alcohol to have children who are already possessed from the wombs of their mothers, and these children will be animated with the spirit of vices. This demon will cause anomaly, malformation, and imperfection in the child to be born. Beloved, I understood from this word of the Lord that drinking wine, whiskey, alcohol, and beer will undermine my posterity as the demon attacks the sperm. The Lord Jesus said to me that through breast milk, the plan of the devil is that children should be born and grow up with a dose of alcohol, so that he can disrupt several metabolism cycles in the development of these children. The devil has organized himself in order to transcend mystically wine and alcohol consumers during the state of drunkenness. And during the state of drunkenness, Dionysus places in the consumers of alcohol a spirit of disorder, loss of prudence, and exaggeration beyond normal limits. And during the state of drunkenness, there are demons from the desert in the name of satyrs, in the shape of goats who are directed by Dionysus to indwell the drinkers of alcohol and cause them to become drunkards. It is clear that drinking alcoholic beer is a doorway for bewitchment and an invitation of desert demons of drunkenness. We were still hovering this forest with the Lord Jesus Christ, who was in the shape of a huge eagle. The Lord said to me, "Be careful, because these demons are responsible for the downfall of the house of Job, as his children were accustomed to celebration and festivities." The Lord Jesus said, "Many pastors became attached to wine and alcohol because right from the beginning they did not know that in the first contact it is the devil that has already entered and possessed them. The snake has taken power over them." When you observe pictures or depictions of Dionysus, you will notice that he is often naked or half-naked because he is the demon of fantasy and sexual impulse. That is why many pastors today are in sexual immorality, resulting from their attachment to wine, alcoholic beer, and whiskey. If you check pastors who are lusting and sleeping with women, you will notice that they drink wine and whiskey in secret, failing to understand that this demon of vegetation, Dionysus, is controlling them. The Lord Jesus said to me, "In Dionysus's depictions and pictures, you will notice that he is riding a donkey, a panther, and a goat." Then the Lord began to explain to me that these are demons or spirits assisting him in his work of destruction on alcoholic consumers. The Lord Jesus said that the panther is the demon of aggression, which is one of the characteristics of a drunkard. The donkey is the demon of forgetfulness transferred to consumers of alcohol. They will forget about their wives and families, about their budgets. They will forget about their responsibilities. The Lord Jesus said to me, "Tell the world that wine, alcohol, and whiskey are aphrodisiacs that heighten sexual stimulations in drinkers. The goat is the demon of dependency on alcohol from which this proverb originated from. Once a thief, always a thief. This is a dependency." Then the Lord Jesus said to me, "Consumers of alcohol will find themselves with injuries." And he asked me, "Where do these injuries come from?" The Lord answered, "From the biting of the snake. The snake is biting his victims by means of wine and alcohol consumption." Jesus said, "This is the answer to Jeremiah's questions." Then the Lord gave Jeremiah chapter 8 verses 20 to 22. "The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. For the hurt of the daughter of my people am I hurt? I am black. Astonishment hath taken hold on me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then is not the health of the daughter of my people recovered?" The Lord said, "This is due to the injuries caused by the snake hidden in the wine. He caused people injuries through wine and alcoholic beer. In beer there is a snake. In fact, alcohol and wine hand over their consumers to Dionysus. If you have been consuming alcoholic wine, you need deliverance. One day I was walking in the street. There was a bar around and the people were drinking and relaxing when suddenly the Lord opened my eyes. I saw this demon of alcohol inside a glass of beer that a man was drinking. Actually, the demon has shrunk and reduced his size and height to fit himself into that glass of beer. As I was watching this demon inside that glass of beer, he noticed that I saw him. He looked at me in my eyes, and I looked at him. When our eyes crossed, I felt so bad and trouble. That night, I was really uncomfortable. Just imagine someone drinking a beer with a demon inside the glass. I forgot to tell you that this demon was in the shape of a frog and sitting inside the glass of beer. This is troubling. Beloved, there is a demon in that glass of wine and whiskey or alcohol that you drink. He may be in the shape of a frog, I don't know. But if you are a wine bibber, a whiskey sipper, or a beer guzzler, you need deliverance. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in our next video.